Hello and welcome to another episode of the Amenorrhea Fertility Diaries. In this episode, I'm going to tell you my story. I'm going to give a full disclosure of how I went from having full-blown hypothalamic amenorrhea to being pregnant, to having a healthy pregnancy. Today I am 36 weeks pregnant, so I still have 4 weeks to go. I'm almost there. I'm going to quickly show you my bump, of which we are very proud. And I thought, well, it wasn't an easy journey at all. So we tried a lot of things and finally I managed to get pregnant. So I thought this would be a good video for people who have hypothalamic amenorrhea and are trying to get pregnant or are maybe struggling with it, or you're planning to and you want to get some inspiration from someone who's already been there. So just quickly to recap, hypothalamic amenorrhea is when a woman loses her menstrual cycle for a longer period of time. It's generally attributed to radical weight loss, to over-exercising, to under-eating. It's a typical condition that anorexic people get, that athletes get, but not always this is the case. It was not my case. I was never anorexic, I was never an athlete. And I was never extremely skinny either, and still I lost my menstrual cycle because it can also happen through different types of stress to your body. Just to tell you, I haven't posted for a long time because I wanted to do a pregnancy video like this, but I was sort of waiting that pregnancy was secure, that it would stick, because the miscarriage rates are high, certainly when there's been a difficult journey like ours. So that was kind of the reason. Suddenly it was 36 weeks. So now here we are. All right, so let's dive into my story. So just quickly, I've done other videos on this, but the way I got HA was, well, I was sort of thin always, not too thin, but kind of skinny. And then I gained a lot of weight when I moved to another country. I had got a sitting job. I mean, it was not a lot. It was like 10 kilo, but for me, it felt a lot. And then I went on this very intense weight loss journey to try to get it off. I think I wasn't in the right mindset because I was constantly yo-yo dieting and feeling bad and guilty about myself. I felt like a failure. I never felt that I was reaching my goal. I went on all the different diets. Keto was very big then, so I tried it, and intermittent fasting and like also like long fasts that I sometimes manage to do, otherwise not. But anyway, the psychological aspect also is important here. I was exercising a lot, so I put a lot of stress on my body. And the final thing that made me lose my menstrual cycle was that I fell off my horse and I had to go on a surgery for my nose, actually. But because I was already going to go to surgery, I decided to do liposuction, just so to take some extra fat out of my stomach and my buttock area, which I didn't really need. I was really never overweight. I was in a healthy BMI, and maybe with some healthier, sort of more gradual weight loss plan, I would have managed to take it off gradually, which would have given my body time to get used to the new weights in stages. But yeah, it wasn't like that. It was from one day to the other. Suddenly I had like liters of fat that had been removed, and this was too much for my body. I think my ghrelin and leptin levels got messed up, which are like the hormones that tell your body that you're full and also that you have enough fat. And these are really connected to the estrogen production in your body. So it's the little bit extra fat that the women have that make us be able to ovulate each month and to have a regular menstrual cycle. So I just lost my cycle completely. It was not that it was irregular or anything like that. It just didn't come at all for almost 2 years, actually. So then I really went into this journey of trying to recover my cycle. And to do that, there's only one way. You have to do it naturally. There's no medication you can take to help you regain your cycles. There's nothing you can really do. There is some medications, but it will just give you a fake cycle. There is the birth control pill, which will just put like a plaster on the problem by giving you another fake cycle, but actually you're just pushing the problem away. If you really want to regain natural ovulation, you have to do it through lifestyle changes. So my whole channel has been about that, so I'm not going to go into that here in this video. You can watch my other videos, but I spent like, 2 years doing all these steps to recover my cycle. We could call it reverse dieting. It means like trying to get away from this diet mentality, eating with regularity, eating all the foods, also the carbs and the foods that are more prohibited, of course, in a healthy way or as healthy as possible. But yeah, basically redefining my idea of health. I managed to get my cycles back. It was very difficult. It took very long time. You never know, but it is a slow process and it needs a lot of work and attention and really shifting your mindset, because we're always told like to try to eat as little as possible. We just assume that we're all, yeah, sort of, I don't know, confronted with food all the time, so really prone to overeating, which is true, but anyway. I managed to get my cycles back. They weren't really regular, like almost never, but anyway, they were coming each time more regularly. And then I really wanted, well, I decided with my partner that we really wanted to have a baby. I already was suspecting that it might not be as easy, so I said, let's start trying already very consistently, all together with my gynecologist. He was giving me tips. He's a very nice gynecologist. He's like a regular doctor, but also is a little bit into more natural approaches. And he was encouraging me to try it in the natural way, because we did a lot of tests, of course. Me, my boyfriend, we both checked that we didn't have any other structural problem, any other, I don't know, disbalance or hormonal issue that had to be solved. Also, we checked his sperm, of course, and everything seemed to be fine. Even on my side, I was supposedly ovulating, but I didn't manage to get pregnant. We were trying. I think we tried for like almost a year, and without success. So that's when I decided to take more aggressive steps. I've done another video where I explained how I tried to get pregnant first by ovulation tracking. We bought these ovulation strips to see exactly when the day of ovulation was, and then having intercourse on that day. That wasn't giving any results. I was getting a bit impatient, due to not only my age. I was 33 then, which was still like sort of okay, although they say that after 35 your fertility goes down a lot, which I think it's true, it's just life. And my partner is 9 years older than me, so the clock was sort of ticking, and we would like to have a second one. So that wasn't really working. We tried for a long time. Then it was also frustrating, because each time you have the hope. And then we tried something more aggressive, which was oral medications. I've done a whole video on that. It's a pill that stimulates ovulation. And it's called Omifin in Spain, where I live, but I think the English or perhaps American name is Clomid, so it has different names. But anyway, this stimulates ovulation and makes it sometimes easier to get pregnant, although I read in several studies that it doesn't really help for hypothalamic amenorrhea patients. Although I had already recovered my cycle, I of course came from that background. So in the end, we had a few consultations to see what other methods we could try. We were looking already into artificial, to assisted ways of reproduction. So they told us artificial insemination, which is the less aggressive one, didn't really give a lot of results and probably wouldn't work in my case. So they just recommended us to go straight to IVF, in vitro fertilization. Of course, we didn't want to in the beginning. It felt a little bit like, I don't know why it's like has the stigma of being less romantic. But then I started hearing from like a lot of people around me, like colleagues and stuff, that they had done it, and there's nothing bad about it. They managed to make their dream true. I was really afraid, not of the process itself, but because in that moment I was so much focused on my baby goal that I would do anything. But just on if it would have failed, it would have had it would have been very hard for me, not only physically, because you have to go through a whole physical process, but also psychologically, of course, and also it's very expensive. So here you can do it via your social security, but it takes ages. So our problem was time. So we did put ourselves in the list, but then we thought it could be 1 year, but it could be 3 years also, and that's too long. So we decided to go to a private clinic. And I'm going to give you already the disclosure, or you already know that the results were good. We managed to get me pregnant the first time already on the first goal. So that was super, super nice. I'm really thankful, really happy about that. Because as I said, if I wouldn't have succeeded, I think it would have been very difficult for me, also because of all the medicines you have to take, all the preparations. It's physically hard, and I don't know, you have to go there all the time, come back, combine it with work, combine it with a life. It's not easy, and also it's not something you want to talk about with everyone, so it's really hard. I'm so grateful that it went well the first time. I know there's a lot of factors that can influence. It's also maybe a little bit, well, not luck, but yeah, it's all about the doctor who does it, who has to know what he's doing. I'm sure most of them are really qualified. But I think there's also a part that I did with a lifestyle changes before. And I think the fact that I had already managed to recover my cycles in a big way, you know, for a while with all the lifestyle steps, eating more, taking it more easy, not stressing. I think that really played an important role also. I don't think I would have managed to get pregnant as easily via IVF if I hadn't taken those steps before, or if I had done it when I was really in full-blown amenorrhea, which means without any signs of cycle or recovering my cycle. Just quickly about the IVF process. Well, as I said, it's physically challenging, it's psychologically challenging, and it's very expensive. So we paid about, well, I think it was like 10,000 euro more or less, but this was with some promotion we had. And other than that, we had to pay for medicines, which was another 2,000 euro more or less. So it's really not a cheap thing. But anyway, because we were successful on the first try, it was only that. So I'm very happy about that. One big tip that I can give you is to check, of course, the statistics of the clinic that you want to go, that they have a high rate of success, and that you don't go too far from home, especially if you're working also, because you will have to go back a lot of times. So I had been recommended a very good clinic, but it was like 2 hours driving, and I'm very happy I didn't do that, because yeah, you have to go all the time. And in the end, I think between the ones that are recognized, that are good, that have good reviews, the biggest, I don't know if there's such a big difference between one and the other. Not sure. It depends, I think, mostly also on you, on your health, and on your general status and your capability of reacting well to the treatment. So there are several steps. I'm not going to go into detail, but first they will stimulate you to collect the eggs. So they will stimulate a very strong growth of eggs. This is a very hard phase. It's like a couple of weeks. You have to take oral medications, and you will feel heavy, you will feel bloated. It's like this Omifene Clomid pill that I talked about, but much stronger. And then they will collect the eggs. They will take them out of you. This is quite unpleasant also. You have to go there, and they do it like in the surgery room, although it's not really considered a surgery. For some people can be quite painful. Anyway, after that they collect the sperm, which is a bit confronting, because we women have to go through all the process, and a man just has to ejaculate in a plastic pot, and that's it. And then they will create the embryos by combining the sperm with the retrieved eggs. And from the embryos, they have to wait a little bit. Like for us, it was, I think, 5 days, but it depends on the clinic. And hopefully see which ones have been evolving. Because during all this process, a lot of the eggs, for example, won't be good. Sometimes some women don't have so many eggs to retrieve. Then from those eggs, from the ones they fertilized, only a few have been successful. So it's always less and less and less. With us, I had like only 2 embryos. One of them is still frozen in the clinic, which is like a service they give you. They freeze them for 6 months, and then afterwards you have to pay like a fee to keep them frozen. We are thinking if we will do that. I think we will, just in case we want a second one. So once you're in that stage and you have a few frozen embryos, it's already quite good, because you don't have to go through the stimulation phase again, which is, for me, it was the hardest one. And then after that, when the embryos are ready, well, in the meanwhile, they will stimulate you again with these injectable medicines, which is a bit unpleasant, and to get you ready for the, so that your body will accept the embryo that they will implant in you, and then they will transfer the embryo, which is the last stage. They do it there in the clinic, and then you have to hope that it will stick, that it will not, that your body won't reject it. and it will develop into a pregnancy. They call it the 2-week wait. It's very, I don't know, very complicated this week, because you're like, of course you want to know if it was successful or not, but anyway, you have to wait to see how your body reacts, and normally your clinic will call you and let you know if if you're pregnant or not. Or no, you will have to go and make a test, and then they will call you and let you know. So just a little note, there's a very good source online that I checked a lot, where they explain these steps and a lot of things related to fertility clinics. She's called Natalie Crawford, and she has she explains this much better than I do. So I invite you to check her videos. It's really really informative. In case you want to know more about the process of IVF, your chances of success, etc. And I remember the moment they called me and they told me that I was pregnant. Congratulations. And in that moment, actually, I remember a colleague of mine told me, she just had gone through the same experience. And she said, from now on, your whole mindset will shift towards, is the pregnancy going well? You will be a little bit worried all the time. I guess all mothers are, but like, especially when you come from such a background with a little bit more complications, every day you will be thinking about it. And I remember each like milestone I could achieve was like a big wow goal. And when I passed the first 3 months, after 12 weeks pregnancy, and I was still pregnant, everything was still looking good. That was a big one for me, because most of the miscarriages happen in the first trimester, of course. And then I could start sharing it with people. It really made things easier. Then, I had the lovely second trimester, was amazing. I've had a very nice pregnancy in general, but the second trimester I had a lot of energy. I was exercising, I was walking, doing everything, feeling great, very happy also, and other than that, we really wanted it. There is certain pregnancy hormones that give you this kind of, fulfillment, and you're very in peace with yourself. It's been very healing for me. Also about still this diet mentality. Suddenly you can really throw that all out of the window. You're not eating for two, but you know that you should not go into the restrictive mindset. So that's really, really nice. And in the end, I've really enjoyed a period of balanced eating, and realized that actually it's quite nice to just eat 3 meals a day of whole, fulfilling foods, to give yourself permission to succumb to your cravings, not only every now and then, but also not every day, but every other day, for example, or anyway, for everyone it's different. But that was really, really good for me to experience this food freedom, up to a point that I'm already like, all right, I've really enjoyed all the foods, all the forbidden foods, the things that I was craving, all these weird cravings. For everyone, they're different. But now I could almost be ready for maybe having not too strict, but a little period again after the pregnancy of coming back to eating a bit more like I used to before. So anyway, it's really, really nice if you want to get pregnant, and you are struggling with HA, with hypothalamic amenorrhea. My recommendation would be to give yourself first, depends a little bit on how much time you have. If you're like close to 35 and you've been trying already, I would say give yourself 6 months up to a year to really try to recover your cycles. Like, forget the diet mentality, eat whole, healthy foods, eat all the 3 macros, follow my steps, follow my videos, and try to regain. Even though you don't have a regular cycle, try to have some kind of signs of your cycle coming. You can try with all the other methods, like trying to track your ovulation to see if it's really happening, and then go and spend the money on the treatment. I'm completely for it. Of course, if you manage to get pregnant naturally, then that's amazing. If you're very young, you have a lot of time, then try it naturally, because you can do it. As I said, HA is always reversible. But if not, it's an option. So it's nice that it's there. But as I said, you really need to. I think for me, it was really due to me already having, sort of recovered my cycle, that I was so quickly successful. And it's worth to be quickly successful, because it's, as I said, it's an expensive and exhausting process. So I wouldn't go in there without any signs of a cycle, because probably it will be just a waste of money, time, and energy. Just wanted to touch on a few complications. In the end, it didn't turn out to be complications, but things that I had. I don't think it has anything anymore to do with my HA background, but now that we're here, just so you know, for example, in the beginning, there was this virus that, like, they scan, for a lot of, like, virus, herpes that you might have had. It's like dormant viruses, so they're not really active in your blood anymore, but they could be harming for the baby. So one of them is the CMV, so it's called cytomegalovirus, and it's something you could have had as a child, but these antibodies are still in your body. And in my case, it turned out that I had it, and it might have been while I was pregnant, and that could have been quite bad. It could have had like really serious effects on the fetus and everything, so I had to do a lot of additional tests. But in the end, it seemed that I had it just before the pregnancy, so then it was okay. And it was actually good because then I was immune to it. Another thing that I had that is really normal is low iron. So I don't really have very high levels of iron anyway. I don't really have anemia either, but with a pregnancy, it's very common that your iron goes down. So it's very important to take the good prenatal vitamins. And I took some extra iron, and it really helped because I was feeling at a certain point so exhausted. And of course, everything is like normal with pregnancy. So if you're tired, you're like, yeah, am I really tired due to the pregnancy, or is there anything else? So I've been taking those during the whole pregnancy. And another thing that I had a little bit later, in the beginning of the third trimester, is that I fainted once, which was quite scary because we decided to do a trip to Japan, which was a little bit crazy maybe, but they told me it was fine as long as I kept moving in the airplane and took care of myself. Now, afterwards, I think maybe it was a bit hard for me, but it was like in the end of the second trimester, beginning of the third, and I'm happy we did it, but it was quite tough on the body too, just that long trip, the jet lag, the long airplane flight. So when we arrived after a night, completely exhausted, I fainted in the metro, and it was quite scary. Anyway, in the end, nothing happened, but it was probably due to the blood pressure changes of pregnancy, which can go up a lot or down or just change. And after that, I've had it also another time where I didn't like properly eat breakfast, and there it was certainly like a blood sugar drop. So this brings me to the next point. I just wanted to give you a little bit of like lifestyle tips and things that have been changing during the pregnancy, because it's really quite an anti-intuitive time in a way. You think you have to listen to your body and everything, but I don't know, for me it wasn't like that. Of course I listened to my body and everything, but like I really had to change. For me, I'm so used to eating, for example, like quite big meals, but not so many spread through the day. And during pregnancy, this is the worst you can do. You really need to eat every 3-4 hours, especially towards the end. Otherwise, my body, for example, will just shut down and faint or something. So, and also because of like most of the space in your belly is taken by the baby, your stomach and your guts are like squeezed into nothing. So your digestion is it's terrible. So actually to have small meals, highly energetic meals, that are easy to digest, that's the best thing. And I really had to learn myself and learn how to do that, because I'm just not prepared for it. So up until recently, I was still working. When you work, where I work, at least I cannot really decide when I'm going to eat. Sometimes there's something meeting that is longer, and maybe I forgot to bring something with me. And then again, it's like a few hours without food, and that was catastrophic. So I had to really plan on that, change my habits, make sure that I always had snacks available to have. And since I stopped working last week, actually, it's much easier because, of course, when I'm at home, I can just decide when I eat and really listen to my hunger cues and everything. So I would recommend you not to work, certainly not after the week 35, because then it's really, your body needs some rest, and it's going to be your full-time job to keep the pregnancy going. Another thing that I had, like in my last doctor's visit, which was quite worrying for me, is that the doctor said that I had a little bit low level of amniotic fluid, which is the fluid that surrounds the baby in the womb, and it's super important. It's made out of, well, your placenta, but it's also like made out of the pee of the baby, which sounds a bit weird, but yeah, it is like that. And if it's too low, it can be due to different reasons. She wasn't like too worried about it, so she said the baby was big, that was important. And she said that the placenta looked good, so that it was probably that I was exhausting myself too much. And to be honest, this brings me to the aspect of exercise during pregnancy. You know, I've always been an avid exerciser. I've trained, normally I train every day, so I'm quite used to it. They say you shouldn't start like a whole new routine during pregnancy, but if you're used to doing certain exercise, it's good that you continue doing them, but on a milder way. And there I want to say again, this anti-intuitive thing. For me, it's really intuitive to just go to the gym, to train. I like to push myself a little bit. All my life, I've been doing that. And, you know, people who are avid sporters, they're used to going beyond that limit every time. So you sort of don't listen really to the pains of your body. I mean, unless they're really, really strong. And you just push through, and then you know that you're going to be gratified by it afterwards with endorphins and with looking good and being stronger. So all of that during pregnancy changes. You really have to, like, when they say you can do some light weights, it really means light weights. And I wasn't doing light weights. I wasn't doing any cardio because they told me that it wasn't really good to do cardio. I actually did do it in the beginning, and the doctor said I had to stop because it looked like my placenta. I don't know exactly what it was, but I had some kind of hematoma there, so some kind of little blood loss, which sounds quite scary. But from the moment on I stopped doing cardio, it disappeared. And then after I was just doing like weights, light weights, which were not that light, and walking. But still, they said seemed that it was too much because, of course, all the blood then is going to your muscles and not to your placenta and to your womb. And that is just a bit too much. Your body just becomes much more sensitive. So towards the end, for some women like me, it's better to just walk and maybe do some very gentle yoga or whatever, like pregnancy yoga. Of course, you have to go to specific pregnancy yoga because there's a lot of movements you can't do. So they said that I had a little bit low levels of amniotic fluid. I had to take it easy and drink a lot of water, which was surprising for me because I already drink so much water. I normally already do because I know it's healthy and all that, but during the pregnancy, my body was really asking for more. But still, it seems like you need it. You have a whole liter of extra blood and you need to drink. A lot of the problems are caused by dehydration. And normally a lot of women don't even feel very thirsty. So if you're thirsty, it means that you're like really, really needing it. So I did that for like 2 weeks, and then I went again to check, and they said it was much better already. So my liquid was fine. You know, it's never been like huge amounts, but it wasn't like below the minimum level to worry. So yeah, lately on the third trimester, that's what I've been doing. Just walking, very light weights, which I'm doing now, but not like less times, maybe twice a week. And then I'm doing this pregnancy yoga, which is really nice, but it's more like a meditation and stretching. It really helps you open the hips, you know, in very nice ways. Also connect with other pregnant women, which is also very, very nice. And yeah, it's really being very enjoyable. Last thing I wanted to say about this is that, well, I haven't had any like very crazy cravings, but there's a few things that, for example, that I can't tolerate and I really, really can't eat. Because I've had like the worst symptom I've had really in the end, actually now in the third trimester, has been this heat burn, like so strong. I didn't know what it was before. I never had it. I had sometimes like digestive problems, gas, but never heat burn. And it's terrible. It's so strong and it comes like 3 hours after eating. So I really have to make sure that I be careful with garlic, with very strong things like curry pastes and paprika, strong spices. Anything that is spicy I can't have. So anything that is curry, Thai curry, Indian curry, it's just I can't have it. I feel terrible afterwards. And also a lot of greasy food, like for example here in Spain they really like to make everything like soaked in oil, and I kind of get dizzy even only of thinking of it. So I can't have all that. So the things that I also can't have, like ramen. We were in Japan and I love ramen normally, you know, this Japanese soup with broth, but I don't know what is in there. It makes me feel terrible. I think It might be the tofu or the soya things that can give you a lot of gas. So for me, it's just like I've been eating a lot of like breakfasty kind of foods, even for dinner, for example. Dinner is where I have to be most careful with because it's when I'm going to lie down in bed. So I have to really make sure to have easy digestible things. So I eat a lot of like porridge with fruit and yogurt, or just fruit and yogurt and muesli. I've craved like cereal, which I never ever eat, but you know, like this stupid like cereal that you see American kids in the eat in the movies, like choco chip and the one with the tiger. I don't know why I really like that, so I was like, why not? These kind of things, croissants. It's not super healthy, but I really crave that. So it's basically like carbs and things that are, I don't know if they're so easy to digest, but they're like, for me, that's just what my body wants now. I've also craved other more healthy things like avocados. I really craved avocados. I had like Caesar salads all the time when I was still working because we have a nice cafe that makes these more healthy, like Caesar salad with avocado in it and chicken, and that was really my go-to. Also, like air fried potatoes, I really like that, and hamburger. Funnily enough, I've craved hamburger. I've made like my own hamburgers, and it's actually about the gherkins that I really like. So those have to be with the hamburger. So yeah, it's very different for anyone, but basically for me it was like that, like a bit of protein, healthy fats, and then sort of easy to digest foods. And well, finally, I wanted to just show you a little bit of a food diary of a typical day for me in the third trimester, so you can see how much I eat. I actually checked on a page. I checked a little bit online just to have a reference of how many calories extra you should eat. Yeah, I always like to keep some kind of control. Maybe it's still my old diet mentality of anything, but if I felt more hungry and if I wanted more, I just had more. So I was really like, I told myself, I'm not gonna let my baby suffer from my stupid old control mentality of trying to control my diet and everything. It's like 9 months in my life or 10 months in my life to let myself go. So I was really like loose on that. But I like to keep a little bit track. So I checked that actually in the first trimester, they don't recommend to eat that many more calories. Like it was like around 200 or so. Then second trimester, it's like 300 more calories. And then the third trimester, they say you can eat like about 400 or 500 calories extra, more or less, just to have an idea, which is like a bit more. So yeah, I think, I don't know, I've been tracking a little bit, but because I don't really scale and measure, I don't know if my trackings are accurate. I think I was eating more in the end, but also I'm moving a lot. So anyway, I think around like 2,500 to 3,000 calories. It's what I've been eating a day, more or less, sometimes more, I think. When I was working a lot, and this would be a typical day of eating for me. So I'm still in the mornings never really hungry. It's the only moment that I am not really hungry. So I had to, for the first time in my life, really push myself to eat, which I had never really done before because I know that I will have the huge appetite afterwards. But because of these fainting and like feeling dizzy, I knew I had to eat something. Not straight away after waking up, but before doing any kind of activity, any going out, definitely before going to the gym or anything like that. So I had this go-to breakfast, which is like a little bit of fruit, normally like one. I really like kiwis because of the vitamin C and all the good things it has. Also, it's been like the season here. I try to eat like local seasonal fruits. And pear I really like because it's nice and sweet, and also it gives you a lot of fiber, and a lot of people struggle with digestion and also with constipation in pregnancy. I haven't had it at all. I think because I was eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, and maybe I was also lucky, but when we were in Japan, we weren't eating that many fruits and vegetables because they barely don't eat fruit there. It's like super expensive and I don't know, difficult to find. Anyway, that's for another time, but there we really were struggling with constipation, both of us, me and my boyfriend. Of course, all the rice and all that didn't really help, and all the different schedules. But when I went back to eating my pear, kiwi, I also love blueberries, and sometimes bananas also have helped me a lot because bananas are very good against acid reflux. So sometimes, not for breakfast, but more for dinner, I will have like a banana on the dessert. But anyway, my breakfast would be like some fruits like that. I cut them and then I eat them with yogurt or with cottage cheese for some extra protein. I've also discovered this other type of yogurt called skyr. It's like something Scandinavian that has a lot of protein in it, to give me some protein in the morning. This is more for me like a filler. As I said, I'm really not hungry for this meal, so I keep it quite minimalistic. I don't throw in a lot of other things. If I was a little bit more hungry for some reason, I would throw in some granola, but generally I just keep it like that. I still have my coffee, 1 coffee a day with almond milk, and then I will have some tea. They say you can have up to 2 cups of coffee a day, and that's what I did up until recently when I was working. But I didn't really feel very good, to be honest. The second coffee felt quite too much for my body, maybe because I don't have such a huge breakfast. It's too much caffeine, and I've even gotten to feel very jittery and with heart palpitations. So I think, yeah, just 1 cup is enough. Also, 2 cups is the real maximum. So if you have tea and chocolate and stuff like that afterwards, you're already over your maximum. So now I'm just doing 1 cup to wake up. So that it's a typical breakfast for me. Then typical lunch that I had, for example, yesterday was I was craving some meat, so I bought a very nice steak and my go-to air-fried potatoes, which are amazing. I cut them, slice them thinly like that. I put some spices on it, not too many, not any strong spices now, and I just leave it half hour in the air fryer, and they really come out very crispy, very nice. And I was craving some Rochefort, like this blue cheese, which is completely forbidden during pregnancy. But if you heat up things, then you supposedly can have them. To be honest, haven't been really strict about the forbidden food list. I think, of course, it's important to be careful. Maybe I wouldn't eat like raw oysters and stuff like that are really prone to make you sick, which is like sort of already a risk. But other things like, I don't know, this cheese, for example, I realized that I was eating all the time a cheese that I thought you could eat, which is called Comte or Comte. I don't know how you pronounce it. It's a French cheese. It's a hard cheese, so I thought that's why you could eat it. But then suddenly I saw it was made with raw milk, which is normally very good, but they say you shouldn't eat that during pregnancy. But I've been fine. But anyway, I don't want to be the one giving you the advice to eat those things. So they say you shouldn't eat any unpasteurized dairy products, anything that is raw, like tartare, or even smoked salmon is not permitted. Also, all this charcuterie, like ham, the how do you say, the smoked ham that they eat in Spain a lot, jamon. It's supposedly you can't eat it, but I've had it because, for example, in my wedding we had a very good ham person that came to cut the ham here, like it's typical, and it was very good quality, very, very well cured ham, which I heard it's not that bad to eat. So as I said, I was a bit more loose. Also, like my steak, I don't really cook it so that it's completely not pink anymore in the inside, because then I find it not worthy to eat. Of course, I won't eat it like with dripping blood either, but like nice, mediumly cooked. I just do it. But anyway, if you want to follow it to the rules, you shouldn't eat that. And also eggs, for me, I really like my eggs a little bit runny. So I don't know. I know in the past they used to recommend you to eat eggs. And when I asked my mother if she had to follow all these rules, she said nothing. My sister, she was pregnant with my sister only it's already 18 years ago, but they didn't say anything about this. So I don't know. Anyway, as I said, I don't want to give this type of advice, but I'm just showing you very transparently what I've been doing. Next to this lunch, I normally put some broccoli or some kind of green vegetables. This time I didn't have anything, so I just put some gherkins, which is really something that I've been craving a lot. It's very typical to crave these like sort of acidic things. But sometimes I will also be in the mood for just, I don't know, eating pancakes. So I've discovered these like Russian pancakes. They're called sirniki, and they're made with cottage cheese, which has a lot of protein. So I sort of made an own version of it with coconut flour and like whole wheat flour, and then with the cottage cheese, so they're a little bit more full of protein than just carbs. And I would have them with some strawberries or something else. Anyway, just being very, very, very loose and listening to my body. Of course, I try to balance. If I had a lot of carbs for lunch, I will try to have less for dinner. And just try to make sure that I have my proteins in, because it's easy to just go into this only eating carbs, but you also need some protein and fiber for a good, not constipation. And I will try to go for this long walk, which really helps me with digestion, with everything, with my mindset and all.
Hi there. So I'm doing my daily walk. I used to go to the gym actually until now and do some weight training. I wouldn't say lightweight training. It was actually, I don't know if it's considered heavy or not, but it's what I used to do before, which I guess is considered quite heavy because I've been weight training for a while. I thought it was good for me during the pregnancy. I thought it was like preventing me to have any back aches and stuff like that, which I haven't had. Maybe it was due to that. But since the doctors have noticed in my last appointment that my levels of amniotic fluid, so the fluid that is surrounding the baby in the womb, are a little bit low for this time of the pregnancy, they've told me to really take it easy, drink loads of water, which I really do already. I mean, it's one thing I can say without hesitation. I've always drunk a lot of water and now I'm drinking even more. But they say I need even more, and like try to reduce anything that is dehydrating you, like exercise, and even like I've cut down on caffeine. I'm trying to drink only 1 coffee a day.
And finally, for dinner, I've been having soups, which was nice, but I have to be a bit careful on what soups because it can be also quite hard to digest, and some vegetables give you a lot of gas. So in this case, I made like a green soup with broccoli, spinach, and some other greens that I had left. And I actually put some potato also in it, and some feta cheese for the like cheesy flavor and a little bit something special. This I have with, I really love sourdough bread. I discovered a very nice bakery here where they make very nice homemade sourdough bread, so I had that, and then I had like sort of a egg salad on, like a tuna egg salad on top of the eggs, on top of the bread, sorry, to have some protein, and I cover that with some nuts and some olive oil. To be honest, I went back to have a second actually, so I had exactly the same portion again because I wasn't fulfilled, and also I always have a dessert after my lunch, which I forgot to mention. I really like these puddings. I don't know why I'm craving them, but they're like high protein puddings. I'm not buying them for any specific reason. I just like them. This one is from hazelnut. They're not so sweet and they leave me nice and satisfied. That I had after my lunch, and then after my dinner I had, this is normally my go-to dessert, which is I make a little plate of chocolate, but I always buy this chocolate that is, well, this time I tried 70% with caramel and then 95% because it fills me quicker. If I buy something that is very sweet, like chocolate, for example, with a less percentage than generally than 85, I feel that I can eat the whole bar and that I'm not satisfied. So I like to use these more rich chocolates, and I actually also enjoy the very bitter taste of it. Of course, it's a bit more healthy than just eating a lot of sugar. Sometimes I will combine it with some dates, which is nice also. So I will make a sort of plate like that. And also I've been creating my own healthy desserts. This is like my weekly go-to, huh? So this is when I'm trying to be healthy, not too crazy. I've made like protein balls, which I normally made with oats and peanut butter and maybe some honey, or I can mix with other nut butters. I've done like some peanut butter cups and different healthy desserts without too much sugar. That's something that I will have after my dinner. But then I've been also enjoying a lot of exceptions, let's say. I've like hung a calendar on my fridge where I cross the days that I eat a sugary dessert, but there I mean a real sugary dessert, you know, like a cake, like a full cake, a full croissant or something like that. And also when I eat like a very carb-rich meal, like pasta, or it's not to prohibit myself from doing it, but just to keep a little bit of control. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't doing it like every day. And your memory really fades away when you're pregnant, so it was good to have this visual control. My aim was to have like once a week, like big cheat carby meal, and once a week a cheat sugary meal. But in the end, I see crosses everywhere, so it's been more like, let's say, an average of twice, sometimes even 3 times a week of sugary like cheats. And the carby thing, not that much. I'm not so much of a carbs person when it comes to savory stuff, but I've done a few very nice pasta recipes. Like this last one I did with asparagus and with guanciale, which is like this sort of bacon, but much more greasy. I've, as I said, experimented with these burgers and stuff, buying nice brioche bread. So then I would count them. But I'm more like my sweet, when I want to have like a cheat meal, it will be more like a sweet craving. So that's sort of it. I wanted to end with a note that pregnancy is really magic. It's so nice when you want it, that you're able to do it. And I know that there's a lot of women out there with hypothalamic amenorrhea lately that are struggling to get pregnant. So I really hope for all of you that you find your way through it. I really hope that this video was helpful. And they say there's nothing that can stop a woman with the child desire. Just to give you another little thing, we already put ourselves in a list for adoptions because we thought we really, really want it. So just like prepare, be aware that it may take a lot of time, anything you're trying to prepare for. If it's your body to conceive naturally, anything. If you come from a troublesome background, it's difficult, It's funny that we spend all our lives trying to prevent how to get pregnant, and then suddenly when you want it, it can be that difficult. But there's always hope, and I think if you have HA, you can really get some inspiration and some tips from this video. And otherwise, you can also always text me, comment below, or ask me any questions on my Instagram, which is the same, Amenorrhea Fertility Diaries. And I read all the comments and I always answer all the private messages. So I wish you a very good journey. I hope, just take care, be healthy, be happy as always. And give me a like if you like this video, or share it with someone that you might think that might profit from it. See you next time, my friends.